I call that they don't like to see you winning. They wanna see you in a penitentiary. I need me a little baby who gon' listen. Girl, I don't wanna be the one you ignorant. My mama told me, boy, make a decision.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Clutch Talk podcast / YouTube / We Do It All. As always, I am your host, John. Very happy to be here. Jenner, what's up, man?
Yo, happy to be on doing these end of season awards. This is the best time of the year. Playoffs, awards, best time of the year for basketball.
Exactly, man. You know, these season awards, these episodes are going to be fire, man, because these season awards. So because it's going to be a fire episode, we had to bring a fire guest. Had to bring my guy Zay in, man, a real Bay Area native. What's up, Zay? How you doing?
I'm good. It's nice to see you. Nice to meet you, Junior.
Nice to meet you.
Zay, tell
before, but this is tight. Shit. Sorry for swearing.
No, you good. No, hey, Zay, you go ahead and let him out if you need to, Zay. But we're really excited to have you on, Zay. So do you want to tell the fans a little bit about like your basketball history? You know, I know you were a diehard Warriors fan. We'll talk about that a little bit.
Born and raised San Francisco, living in Oakland right now. Warriors fan my whole life. My grandpa was a diehard Warriors fan, A's fan. So whenever I go to his house, I'm watching the Warriors. But whenever we're getting blown out, he turned it off. So I never see us lose. So I highlights really. So I was seeing all the threes and crossovers. I wasn't seeing us lose, but it was nice seeing the Warriors win a championship like 5 years or past 5 years, like 8 years ago, whatever. Now we're kind of trash. It's all good. I'm gonna still have faith. Just like I know you guys got Laker faith. I'm gonna have Warriors faith my whole life.
Exactly.
There you go.
That's the
you
best.
Gotta stay strong.
Exactly. I won a championship at least one time in my lifetime.
There you go. There you go. But all right, so today, you guys, so what we got planned on the schedule here today is we're going to talk about these season awards. We're going to talk about Sixth Man of the Year, Most Improved, and of course the highly coveted MVP award. So you guys ready to jump into these?
Yeah.
Let's do this. So, Junior, do you want to kick it off for us, man? You want to tell us who do you got for your Sixth Man of the Year award, man? This one was not as controversial as the other ones, but let's see who you got, Junior.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely got to go down to Jordan Clarkson. He ended up the season playing 68 out of 72 games, amazing availability, which Zay, we always say that's the best type of ability is availability. So he was right there, always available for his team, except for 4 games, I guess. But he was really available for his team. He's putting up 18.4 points per game, which is amazing to have somebody coming off the bench and giving you almost 20. Respectable 43% from the field, decent 35% from 3, you know, and he's just been balling, so he deserves the Sixth Man of the Year award. And they're not empty stats either, you know. He was able to contribute to winning basketball as the Jazz had the best record in the NBA. And you know, like I said, when we did these partway through the season, is he knows his role and executes it perfectly, and that's a huge factor in being a Sixth Man of the Year as well. Is just knowing that role, being comfortable with coming off the bench, you know. He's been balling. He could have asked to start, but he knew his role. He knew what the team needed him to do and how he could help the team, and that's what he did. So big shout out to 2021 Sixth Man of the Year, Jordan Clarkson.
Shout out JC, man, a former Laker. Got to show some love to a former Laker. But hey, Zay, who you feeling for this Sixth Man? You agree with Junior?
Yes, Jordan Clarkson, 100%. That's my Filipino brother right there. He had about a whole year.
Yeah, no, he's been balling. He deserves it for sure. Is that who you got too, John?
Yeah, that's exactly what I got, man. You know, he led the NBA in bench scoring, and he also, he made history. He made 208 made threes this year, which is the most in the NBA history for a bench player. So, that's shout out to JC, man, accomplishing great things. And like how you mentioned, Junior, he played his role well. Six men, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to come off the bench, bring that momentum, be that microwave and bring in that energy. And that's, and that's exactly what he did for the Jazz, man. So I'm glad we're all in consensus here. We all agree to JC on this one.
Yes, sir.
Especially
all right.
For a minute.
Dope. All right, so let's move on to this most improved player, man. This one can go multiple ways on this one, but I'm Zay. I want you to go ahead and kick this one off for us. Zay, let us know, who do you got for most improved?
And I got Julius Randle, but it was a close. I had Michael Porter Jr. close number one, like, because he doubled his scoring. Like, his shooting percentages are crazy right now. But Julius Randle, obviously, the Knicks weren't a playoff team. They weren't expected to be a playoff team. He just went from a very, very good player to all NBA player. Like, that's usually what the most improved player is a good player to an all-star level player. That's what it's been. So I'm going Julius Randle. Michael Porter Jr. might get it next year. We'll see.
Definitely.
We'll probably have to take a big jump to get it next year.
I think it's definitely interesting, Zay, how you bring up MPJ, because most people at the beginning of the season actually had MPJ as their most improved, and which is why we have to tip our hats off to Randle, because how impressive this is, because no one had him here at the beginning of the season. So he went from nobody gave him the award to the most deserving for this award. And like how you mentioned, is that, he doubled his points, he doubled his assists, his three-point percentage doubled that. He's shooting to 45% from the field, and realistically, he's averaging only 2 points less than a possible MVP in Jokic. So we'll get to that. I know Junior's got some of the things some to say about that MVP of Jokic. So yes, we'll get there, man. But like I was saying with Julius Randle, he's improved with every single stat. He's improved in his scoring. He's improved in his field goal percentage and assists. And for the fact that he also improved in winning. He took the 12 seed Knicks, that they were the 12 seed last season, and now they're the 4th seeded Knicks. And we haven't seen much of a roster change in the Knicks. Like, it's not like they went from, and having LeBron to not having LeBron, or vice versa, right? They didn't have much of a roster change, and they made this dramatic jump from 12 to 4. And like how you accounted to, Zay, and that's because of Julius Randle. He has really taken the load of scoring, taken the load of we got to win on his shoulders here. So, Junior, you want to talk to us about who you got for from MPI? Yeah.
So there was definitely a good race here between MPJ, Grant, and Randle. And honestly, this one was actually a little different for me to think about. So, like, if you look at the 3 players, Randle's by far the best player on the list. But like, who improved the most from last season to this season? It has to be Jeremy Grant, right? I mean, the only issue I have with him winning this award, and either way, I do have Julius Randle as my most improved player. But I'm saying, like, how do we look at it? Is it just individual improvement? Because it could have been Jeremy Grant. What I'm looking at is the fact that the Pistons were dead last in the East. So yes, he improved a lot, but did nothing for his team. I also can't pin the Pistons' terrible season just on Jeremy Grant alone. But I would expect the most improved player winner to at least bring something more to their team than being East. I know that when we did this award earlier in the season, I did pick Jeremy Grant, and so far all of my picks have matched up with what I had in the beginning of the season, in the middle of the season. But ultimately, now I am going to make a change, and I am going to go with Julius Randle for most improved player. The numbers have slightly improved. Now, actually, they've been a good improvement. 2.5 points a game to 24, 9.7 rebounds to 10.2, 3.1 assists to 6. That's actually pretty good of that. He increases steals to 0.9. His blocks and his field goals stay the same. But what was really impressive was his jump at the 3-point line. So he went from a 28% 3-point shooter to a 41%. That just means you're such a bigger threat, on the court when you go from a 28%. If you're a 28% 3-point shooter, no one's paying any attention to you outside the paint. But when you're at 41, you got to have somebody close you out, right? But the cool thing about Randle is that the numbers really only tell part of the story, right? So like you said, John, last season they were 12 in the East at 21 and 45. This season they're 4th, which like I said for Tom Thibodeau when we talked about him, that's the highest seeding for any team not named Bucks, Sixers, or Nets. So that's pretty impressive. Ended up with a record of 41 and 31. And like you said, John, too, it wasn't just, drafting Obi Toppin isn't what made that difference, right? It was what Randle's been doing that really made that difference from them being 12 in the East to 4th in the East. he's transformed into a star in the league, like Isaiah said. And I think for that, he's the most improved player in the league this year.
Definitely. But let me ask you too a question really quick. So, like how Zay mentioned, Randall's been playing great, and like how I mentioned as well, he's only 2 points really away from Jokic. Well, when we understand that, points isn't everything, but would it be far-fetched, or actually answer me this? Do you guys have Randall in your top 5 MVP? Not top 3, but in your top 5?
No, I don't.
I didn't have
You
him.
say?
No, but maybe top 10. Like if Chris Paul is considered a top 10 MVP candidate, I put Julius Randle right there.
I agree with that. I didn't make a list of 10 off the top of my head, but he's definitely not top 5. But I would put him above Chris Paul, though. I do agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to get a taste what you guys thinking about that. But another great point that I wanted to bring up about Julius Randle and his improvement is the fact that he really went from a power forward to a point forward. If you really watch these Knicks games this year, there's many times where he's bringing the ball up court. He's setting up the offense, and we can tell that right by his assists. His assists went from 3 assists per game to 6 assists per game, and I think that really opens up the floor for Randall a lot more, because Randall now understands that, okay, these double teams are coming, so I just got to find the right player, because somebody's going to be open. So I think that definitely opens up the floor for Randall a lot more, right? Another thing I want to talk about, on the last episode, we talked about Tom Thibodeau and how he definitely is deserving of the coach of the year, and how he really changed that Knicks team to a defensive-oriented team. Yeah, right. Julius Randle, when opponents are guarded by Julius Randle, they shoot 10% worse of their original field goal percentage, man. So that definitely is something that we got to take into account. We see that he's getting it done on the offensive end and the defensive end, and now he's winning, right? So to me, there is nobody more deserving to this award than Julius Randle. How do you guys agree with that?
For most improved player, absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But again, it comes down to how you feel with improved player, just individual improvement. Because like I said, Grant literally doubled his points. Right? That's insane. Like he went, not literally actually, because he was at 12 and now he's at 22.3. But he's improved pretty much across the board on everything: assists, rebounds, you name it. But also his role has increased. We can't down that, right? Like he was a third, fourth option maybe on the Nuggets, and now he's a first option on the Pistons. But like again about Randle is the fact that he's contributing to winning basketball, and that's huge. You don't put that in numbers. I guess you do in a number of wins, but Randle has been a factor for himself and for the team, unlike Grant, who's just been a factor for himself pretty much.
Definitely. So you know what, I'm excited, man, because we're moving forward and we're moving closer and closer to that MVP debate, man, because that's what I am here for, man. That's what I want to know about. So Zay, because you're the guest, man, we got to give you honors and let you knock it out the park first. Zay, who do you got for your MVP?
Man, the Warriors won that playing game and were the 8th seed, I'd be biased and have Curry as. But Jokic has been consistent all year. His team has more wins. He's averaging almost damn near a triple double. He's been doing it the whole season, like your MVP. But if Curry had won that last game, I would have had him as MVP. But it's a tough one for me. But Jokic he's a clear MVP to me just based off his numbers. Like, he's carrying the team. Like, he's a point center averaging almost 9 assists a game. Like, his scoring went up. I saw him as around a 20 points per game scorer. Like, he's over 25. Like, I didn't see that jump from him at all. Jamal Murray went down like 2 quarters into the season, or 3 quarters into the season, and the Nuggets didn't fall down at all.
Right. They actually went up in the standings. Yeah. Now, granted, the Clippers were tanking, but yeah. Still, they stayed right there. They didn't fall out of the playoffs, didn't fall into the play-ins. Like, Jokic definitely carried that team.
Yeah, if they fell in the standings, Jokic would have fell in the MVP race. Right. I had him at number 1 even before Jamal Murray went down. And then when Jamal Murray went down, that's kind of when Curry started going off in April, and that's why he moved up in the MVP race. So Curry's team is the 9th seed. Jokic they're the 3rd seed. So he's the obvious MVP to me. The NBA doesn't give the MVP award to the 9th seed, the best player on the 9th seed. Like,
that's true. It'd be tough to miss the playoffs and win MVP.
Yeah.
So Zay,
seed, but we're not gonna. That was like the lowest seed MVP won it in recent memory. Curry's not gonna win it at the 9 seed.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's not gonna happen unless he was averaging 40 points a game. Then yeah.
Well, if he was averaging 40 points a game, they wouldn't have been a 9th seed. They probably would have been in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
So Zay, let me ask you a question. You said that if the Warriors would have made the playoffs, right, if they would have won their playing games, then you would have had Curry as your MVP. So my question to you is, would those 2 games matter to you more than the entirety of the season? So first me answer that question, and then I have a follow-up question after that.
No, those 2 games don't count I don't think should count, because we could have won 2 games earlier in the season. I've seen the Warriors blow 5 to 10 games that they should have won, that they could have won 2 years ago if they just had Klay Thompson. But it's a new year, new team. They got to figure it out. But yeah, I don't think those last 2 games should have played a role, but that's my bias in it, because if he had won those 2 games earlier in the season, we would have been a playoff team, and I might have already made my decision that Curry is the MVP, because we already locked in a playoff spot. But I had to wait to the last 2 games of the season to see if I really wanted him to be MVP. But we didn't get those games, so I wouldn't give it to him.
Okay. And so my follow-up to that would be, I've heard people go both ways for it. I've heard people say he can't be the MVP. He's a 9th seed. But then I've heard people say he's a 9th seed. They're the 9th seed because of him. If he wasn't there, they'd be the 20th seed. There's not even 20 seeds, but they'd be the 20th seed, right? So my question to you is, from your perspective, how do you view it? Do you view it as, wow, he got them there to that 9th seed where they shouldn't have been, or he can't be my MVP because he's the 9th seed?
I think based off just his numbers and carrying the team, that's why I had him at MVP, because if he wasn't on the team and Draymond or Wiggins is the best player on the team, they would have been the worst team in the league in my eyes. But since
even just, Draymond, Oubre, and Wiggins, those are respectable players. Like, you think it'd still be worse than like the Pistons or something?
I think so. Like, if we started the season off Klay or Steph, our backup point guard was Brad Wanamaker. So if he was starting at point, I don't know if we would have got a win like our first couple of weeks into the season. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I feel like you guys probably would. At the beginning of the season, you also had Wiseman. So it was Wiseman, Draymond, Oubre, and Wiggins. Yeah, honestly, like that's obviously that's not a title contending team, but that's pushing like 9th, 10th seed, I think, if you just look at those players.
Yeah. You also gotta depend on their health too, because
that's true. Yeah, health dictates all. You saw the Lakers; they have a squad to be first, 2nd seed. It ended up in 7th. So I totally agree with you on that one.
Yeah, you guys, Lakers healthy. They're healthy the whole year. They're expected to be top 2 seed.
Right.
Okay, but Junior, what about you with those two questions? So first, and answer to me, right? If Curry had a ridiculous 2 games for the play-in and was able to pull his team into that playoff tournament, right? Would you weigh those 2 games more than the rest of the regular season games? And following up, do you view those 2 games bigger? So talk to me about that.
Yeah, so I think that I probably wouldn't weigh those games more than the whole season, because it's a regular season award. The play-in becomes a gray zone. Is it playoffs? It's not playoffs, but it's also not regular season, right? Like, what is the play-in? So no, I wouldn't. I like Curry as a player quite a bit. I'm not even saying anything against him, but I think it's undeniable that he had a slow start to the season. He was coming back from injury. That's fair. I'm not even bagging on him. But I think he had a slow start to the season. Then he really picked up. Like, I think if we only look at second half, he's the MVP of the second half, no doubt. Like if we're just looking at season, he's the MVP of the second half. If we're actually looking at MVP in the letter of the law, most valuable player, you can make a pretty good argument that without him, the Warriors would, they would be much further from where they were. He was the reason they won a lot of games. I mean, he had those crazy months in March and April and even May too. So do I weigh those 2 games more? I'd say no. I want to count the whole season as a whole, and that's what kind of got him down for me on there. And the second question, what was the second question?
The second question I was asking to you is his MVP, like because a lot of people view it as, okay, he got them to the 9th seed. Without him, the Warriors would not be here. But some people also view it as he can't be my MVP because he's the 9th seed. So how do you view it?
No, so I think that he definitely got them to the to the 9th seed, I guess. But without him, it's also tough to say that they'd be much lower because of like what me and Zay were talking about. Like, it's tough to imagine a team with Wiggins, Oubre, Dre, Wiggins, Oubre, and Wiseman for as long as he played. I guess Oubre, he was injured towards the end too, would be worse than the Kings, would be worse than the Timberwolves, would be worse than the Thunder, would be worse than the Rockets. Like that's tough to say. So, instead of 9th, maybe they would have been 11th, but I don't think it's a drastic change. I think for me to really have given Curry that MVP, I'd have to see him in the top 6, maybe. If you got that squad into the top 6, that'd be, a lot more impressive. And again, that's not to knock him. It's just he didn't, he started off slow because he was coming back from injury. Then his center got injured. His running mate was injured for the whole season. Then Oubre got injured at the end. So, the Warriors just had they just had a bumpy patch, and I don't want to put that on Steph Curry. I just think that unfortunately, the deck didn't line up, for Curry to win the MVP. Same thing for LeBron too. I thought at the beginning of the season he was having a pretty good, I wouldn't say he was I think for a while there he was leading the MVP race, but then after he went down, I wouldn't even say it was, it wasn't even close because he missed 20, 30 games, right? So at that point, you can't win the MVP and miss 20 games, especially when you got guys like Jokic and Embiid, I mean, Embiid also missed quite a bit of games, but also that's not who I have as my MVP. My MVP didn't miss a single game. So I have to, it'd be tough to put LeBron over him when, Jokic is doing what he did, got his team in a higher seeding and played every game.
Okay. All right. So since you want to talk about your MVP, Junior, go ahead and tell us who is your MVP and why.
All right. So it did come down to Jokic versus Embiid ultimately, but I did have to go with Jokic. And I know he's averaging a little less scoring than Embiid. He's at 26.4 as opposed to Embiid's 28.5, but he's out rebounding Embiid 10.8 to 10.6. I know it's a small change, but he's out assisting him by 3 times, 8.3 to 2.8. All right. Jokic also has a better field goal percentage and a better 3-point percentage. So he's a more efficient shooter. And like I just alluded to a little earlier, he has the best type of ability. He played every single game. Like that's actually impressive. Not like even if he missed 5 or 7 games, that'd be impressive. But no, he played every single game. And like they said, Murray went down. They still got it done. He was still carrying his team to wins, And I also think that he had to do more with less, right? And what I mean with that is he's in a tougher conference than the Sixers are. He's in the West. And I believe that if you take Embiid out of the Sixers and you take Jokic out of the Nuggets, the Sixers are a better team than the Nuggets. And I'm saying we take that lesser Nuggets team, take out their second best player in Jamal Murray because they lost their second best player there. Now take all that and put him in the West, and they end 47-25. The Sixers ended 49-23. So they were really only 2 games back, despite all that. Tougher conference, lesser team, losing his running mate in Jamal Murray. So for me, it's just a hands down Jokic MVP to me. I know you disagree, so I want to hear how, because to me, Jokic did his thing this season, and I think he deserved it too. I know you were saying that you said it was going to be a Steve Nash MVP or something weird, but I think he did his thing this season. He deserved it because there's a lot of good players this season, and he did his thing.
Okay. Well, so you know what? I gotta swerve on this one because so far we've all agreed. We've agreed on Jordan Clarkson for 6 man. We've agreed for Randall for most improved. But for this MVP, I gotta swerve on this one, man. I know you guys are going with Jokic, but I gotta go with Joel. And before I even get into my points, I want you guys to put this through your mind before I even start talking about this. The only true knock on Joel Embiid and his MVP campaign is not really related to basketball. It's related to COVID, or it's related to health and safety protocols. So I'm just saying, before I get into my point, let's keep that into mind, that the reason why people are knocking him and their biggest knock on him is not because of basketball skills. It's because of something that he has no control about. But let's get into this, man. Let's talk about what Joel finished with, man. He finished with 28 points per game, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, shot a ridiculous 51% from the field, a crazy 37% from the 3-point line, 85% from the free throw line, taking 10 free throws a game, led the entire league in free throw attempts, and also he led the entire league in points in the paint. You know what that means, man? It means he's unstoppable. It means that where he wants to get to, he's going to get to, and there's no stopping him. There's no stopping it. He's too big, too dominant, too strong. That's what those free throws, leading the league in free throw attempts per game mean. That's what leading the league in points in the paint means, right? And how about, instead of us looking at the games that he didn't play, right? So many players miss so many games, right? Like let's be honest, guys. Like we saw that tragedy that happened to Karis LeVert. He couldn't play because of health and safety protocols. He had to sit for 7 to 10 days, not just games, 7 to 10 days for this health and safety protocols.
Oh, so for the play-in. For
the play-in. But okay. I'm just using Karis LeVert as an example. Like so many players this season had to miss time because of these health and safety protocols or because of injuries, right? But more than ever in any past years, players had to sit 10 days because of these protocols, or something that has nothing to do with them, right? So basically what I'm trying to tell to you guys is, instead of us looking at the time that Embiid missed, let's look at the time that he was on there, and let's realize the fact that he's the MVP over both Curry and Jokic. If you look at just the time that he's on the court, Embiid had a better defensive year than Jokic by far, had a better defensive year than Curry by far, but we know that he had a better. You can make the argument, but I would lean on Jokic. I think I would lean on Embiid. I think that Embiid had a better offensive year than Jokic did, and the numbers would tell you as well when you look at
scoring.
Just on scoring. I'm talking about offensively right now.
Yeah, so just on scoring, like would you look at a whole offense? Would you still take Embiid? Because Jokic is responsible for a lot of Nuggets points, right? He's at 8.3 assists a game. That's insane for a big man.
Definitely, he's definitely facilitating that offense, but it's not like Joel Embiid can't do that. Every time Joel Embiid touches the post, a double team is coming. So while I agree,
I can't. No excuse to not have 8 assists a game.
I'm not telling you. I'm not going to sit here and tell you realistically that I think Joel Embiid's a better passer than Jokic, because he's not. But I'm telling you that Joel Embiid is a much better scorer than Jokic is. And basically, what I'm telling to you is, I would take Joel Embiid as a scorer over Jokic more than I would take Jokic as a playmaker and a facilitator than I would Embiid. Embiid doesn't lack that much.
Jokic can give it to you from anywhere, though.
He could give it to you, but he can't give it to you in the post like Embiid can. He can't give it to you
like
from
Embiid,
the 3.
Embiid's bigger though.
But he can't even give it to you like from Embiid can in the 3.
No, he's a better free throw. He's a much better 3-point shooter than Embiid.
How many? He's taking a lot less threes than him per game, I bet.
We're gonna get a clutch talk.
Let's get a fact check here. Embiid and Jokic is taking 1.3 threes per game compared to Embiid's 1.1.
I'm saying no, he's making 1.3. He's taking 3.3.
Oh, he's taking 3.3. And Embiid is taking 3. Okay. So 0.3 less. 0.3 less. Okay.
Russell Westbrook. That's pretty interesting.
Okay. So I'll give you that. I'll give you that 0.3. That Jokic
I think he's a more versatile threat. Like Embiid's a better post work, but Jokic can shoot better, and he can still give you pretty good post work too. He's got a better field goal percentage. Period. So he's just getting it done. And remember what we said last time too. Look at the free throw attempts. 11
you-
for Embiid and Jokic, 5.
But that proves his dominance. That proves
That's
Jokic can't get to the line as much as Embiid can.
Well, I think you could look at it that way. You could also look at the point that Embiid only has 2 more points per game, but he's taking a lot more free throws, double him almost. So
I'm feeling like Max Kellerman around here, man. I'm feeling around Max Kellerman around here. I got Zay and Jr. getting on me, man. But look, man,
Embiid's super good. Don't even get me wrong. I'm not even knocking Embiid. I just think Jokic did his thing. But keep going. Embiid's a baller.
And of course, Embiid's been balling, right? But so Junior, like I feel that you keep putting more emphasis on this offensive end for this MVP. Like, shouldn't MVP be an overall award? So that's the question I want to ask you guys. Like, do both of you guys have Jokic, right? Zay and Junior, you guys both have Jokic. Are you guys not taking into account that Joel Embiid, okay, he may not be doing it at the same rate that Jokic is on the offensive end, but he's getting it done much better than Jokic and Curry is on the defensive end. And so the way I'm breaking this down is we got a candidate in Embiid that can play better defense than both Curry and Jokic, arguably can play better offense than both, and he's the number 1 seed. If that's not the MVP, what's the MVP, man? Talk to me, guys.
Nikola Jokic. No, I hear you. And Embiid is a better defender, but that's not, we can't scoff at Jokic's defense either. You know, he's a solid defender, and I'll give you Embiid is a better defender. But I'm thinking that you have more of a threat, I think, with Embiid. With Jokic, you have more of a threat with Jokic because, like I said, he's point center, almost not even point forward. He's point center. He's taking the ball up court. He can pop it on you with a shot. He can take it down lower. He can dish it out. You know what I mean? And I feel like when Embiid is coming, just get ready to take a charge and be seriously hurt because it's a big dude. But you know what he's going. You know he's going to the lane, and he might give you a little mid range, but it's rare. Usually he'll probably just be he'll be a spot up mid range shooter if even. I think that Jokic just offers different dimensions of versatility, but I have to see that Embiid is a better defender, but Jokic is pretty good too on defense, so I can't just look past that. And I know it's a regular season award, and I know we're talking about defense right now, but I want to shift to just a quick fact I saw yesterday. But again, I know it's regular season. We're talking about playoffs here real quick, but Nikola Jokic is actually averaging in this series so far, the 2 games that have elapsed against the Blazers, he's averaging 36 points per game on 62% shooting.
Lost game 1.
Huh?
And lost game 1.
And won game 2. So,
okay.
they lost 1, they won 1, they split it, but it's not Jokic that's dragging the team back. You look at, for example, I'm not even trying to throw shots, but Jimmy Butler is not getting it done for his team. He's averaging 13 points a game, right? So it could definitely be, look, if Butler was averaging more than 13 points a game, they at least take game 1. I would think went to overtime, You can make an argument that it went to overtime because of Butler, though, because of his last shot. But, I'm thinking that you definitely got to look at Jokic as, he's just so versatile. He could just give it to you so many ways that he could leave the defense without knowing really how to prepare for him.
Okay. Well, Zay, are you putting in more emphasis on the offensive end or on defense end for your MVP?
For me, it's overall did you dominate the game? Did you play a factor of your team winning every time they won?
And did Embiid not do that to you?
The reason that you're the top seed, he is the reason. I think the only reason I don't have him at MVP is the amount of games, honestly. He's played 20 games less than Jokic, but every point you've made has pretty much convinced me to tie Embiid and Jokic had Embiid played more games. If Embiid played every single game, 72 games like Jokic, I might have him as the MVP because he was dominant every game he was in. Every time he was on the floor, he's dominant, but he didn't play every game. And you made a point that it's not his fault, but Jokic didn't run into any of those problems, and he's putting up these numbers every single game. it's just the games for me. Like, because Embiid was dominating every game. Jokic dominates every game. So had they both played the same amount, it would have been a very, very tight race. But for me, Jokic is the clear winner because of 20 more games played. That's for me. But
Okay.
it doesn't matter. Like for me, I get like it matters offense, defense, but it really just matters like how did you play? Like, did you dominate? Because Embiid does dominate on both ends. That's a great point. But he wasn't there for 20 games to dominate the game. But if he was there for 20 extra games, you made the point he's better on defense than Jokic. His offense is slightly better than Jokic in some areas, but he wasn't able to show it the whole year like Jokic.
Definitely. Well, hey, so we know what time it is. Hey, Zay, at the end of every episode, what we do here is we do a consensus, right? We get a consensus. So we got 6-man and most improved. We got Randall and JC. We got a consensus for that. It's looking like I'm gonna have to jump on the Jokic bandwagon over here. So I guess our consensus is looking like MVP. We got Jokic, 6-man of the year. We got Jordan Clarkson, and most improved. We got Randall. You guys cool with that?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry, John, but it's got to be Jokic this year. Like, based off history, like it's looking like he's gonna be the MVP.
Yeah.
And regardless who wins it, though, they both deserve it. Honestly, they both play real well. So if Embiid wins it, if Jokic wins it, I think they're both deserving guys.
Yeah,
definitely. Well, that right there is a good closing point for us. Zay, man, thank you very, very much for coming on, Zay. You were an absolute great guest. We're excited to have more of you on, man. We're gonna keep having more and more of Zay on, man. So thank you very much, Zay.
Appreciate it. It's good to see you, John. Nice talking to you guys. Nice meeting you.
All good. So as always, you guys don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'm gonna make sure to put Isaiah's Instagram right there, right in his little bubble. Go give him a follow, man. Go run it up. Go DM him. Tell him, Zay, you know nothing about basketball, man. The Warriors suck. And go DM Clutch Talk, man. DM us on Twitter and Instagram, man. It's at Clutch Talk 1. Come debate with us on there, man. We drop an NBA polls, trivia, and all that on there. So stay tuned for next week's episode. And that's it, y'all. We out of here. Clutch Talk out.
Peace.